Dandavat pranams. Welcome. Welcome to our Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Facebook page, our Seva Ashram Facebook page. It's just a little bit past 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at the Soquel Seva Ashram, where we are getting ready for our Govinda Mela celebration taking place July 19th through the 26th. And the 19th and the 20th are arrival days. So the program begins the 21st. So we're looking forward to seeing all of the devotees who are going to be coming for the festivities. As you're all logging on here and joining in live, please go ahead and comment and let me know that you're here, and comment. Tell me, where are you watching from? And tell us your name. And I hope you're all having a good, or had a good weekend. And we're, in the middle of July, a lot of activities, a lot of energy taking place, and also a lot of material world continuing to happen. My name is Vaidehi Devi Dasi, and I live here at the Soquel Seva Ashram and grew up here, was raised here, and my mother Kalindi lives here as well, and along with many other devotees in this community. And I just wanted to say that everything is looking so beautiful. If you haven't had the opportunity to do so already, definitely check out some of the photos and videos and announcements about Govinda Mela so you can see what's taking place and how the devotees are preparing for the festivities. So today I wanted to talk about not just enthusiasm or encouragement, which I want to speak about, but I wanted to talk about this one thing that Gurudev said to me, Srila Govinda Maharaj said to me one time. And he said, you must push forward. Why you are pushing backwards. So I'm going to speak a little bit about that, what that means, how that came up, and how this could be helpful in your own or our own spiritual life. And I'm going to take this earring off because I can hear it clanking. But before, oh boy, okay. Before I begin, I just wanted to chant Panchatattva and some Vandana. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Gurva Bista Supurakam Guru Ganera Shishasambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipunam Shri Rupa Pantanugam Govinda Bidamujvalam Varatanum Bhakti Anvitam Sundaram Vande Bishwa Guruncha Devya Bhagavat Premnohi Bijapradam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So last week we spoke a little bit about invocation. Welcome, Alejandra, Dandavat Pranams. Please let us know where you are watching from. And if you have a spiritual name, please write your spiritual name. I don't recognize your name. So last week we spoke a little bit about invocation and the importance of invoking, right? And everything that we do, calling in the blessing of our Gurudev, right? Any and every compliment and blessing and opportunity, calling in the blessing of our Gurudev, offering this to our Gurudev, and invoking always the Lord's protection, the Lord's guidance, and trying to be as present as we can to this form, this body, this life, this existence, this present moment, this present situation, while simultaneously linking, right? Connecting, being in union with that divine protection, that divine blessing, that divine plane, that divine guardianship, by bringing our mind into that track, right? Bringing our mind to that track. So we can choose to think about and do whatever we want with our minds. Luckily, some people don't even have that opportunity, right? To think or to comprehend or to be conscious, right? Some people are suffering from different mental illnesses, etc. So those of us that are in this human form and have that blessing to be able to be conscious, right? And aware and present, how can we become more and more present and aware to this reality at hand, right? To take action and to be mindful with how we are using our energy, our life force, our mind, our speech, our energy, our existence. Super, super important to always try to do what is for our highest and greatest good, right? For the highest and greatest good of our spiritual life. And so with that comes much protection and much opportunity and much transformation and much guardianship. And so important to consistently and constantly be invoking that, because as of now, our minds are not necessarily trained, right? They're a bit untrained. They're a bit unruly, right? Like wild children, if you will. And so, again, this concept of Goswami versus Godas, right? How do we step into that space? We're not trying to be Goswamis, but at least don't be a Godasa, right? Just being driven by the impulses, by the senses. So how are we using our speech? How are we communicating with others? And so this starts to kind of bring us into the space of conversation that I wanted to talk about today. And that is that we may be doing our best to engage in these practices and to embody these practices, but sometimes we may be in environments or around people that are not practicing that are not able to control their anger or their tongues or their mouths or their bodies, right? And we may be in situations where there is no control of the environment, right? Where we may be facing difficulty or challenge, etc. So this means that sometimes the material energy is dominating the field of energy, right? The auric field, the physical plane, the energetic plane. And sometimes that material energy is throwing at one, right? We get that material energy throwing its wave on us. And it may not be a Krishna conscious positive wave. And so sometimes what happens with energy, right, or with those waves from the material energy is that we can either receive that wave and fall down, right, and fall back and withdraw and retract, or we can receive that wave and transmute it, right, and alchemize it and rise and step forward. And so Ekakiya mar nahi pai bolo harinama sankirtan, right? On our own, we have no strength. On our own, we can be easily knocked down. But as a result of the blessings of our guardians and the practices and the encouragement and the strength that our guardians have given us, if we so choose to accept them, if we so choose to practice them, we have this capacity to be like a blade of grass, right? We have the capacity to be able to bend like a blade of grass, but not snap, right? We have the capacity to tolerate, right? To be tolerant like a tree, right? Still providing shade, even as there's an attempt for the chopping down, right? Still providing grace and center and calm and being in that sacred space, right? Being in that place of invocation and commitment to our authentic expression of the gratitude, the blessings that we get to experience in Krishna consciousness, right? When somebody is grateful, when somebody is feeling protected and safe, they feel grounded and focused and calm and capable, right? If you feel insecure, unprotected, unsafe, there's a lack of strength there, right? There's an instability that can be easy to be affected by. So in our spiritual practicing life, it is extremely important to, in order to trinad api sunya chena taroriva sahi snuna, right? So that we can amanina manadena kirtaniya sadaharihi, right? In order to be humble like a blade of grass and be tolerant like a tree and to give honor to others and be strong so that we can chant the holy name, we need to chant the holy name. We need to engage in our practice. We need to engage in soul searching. We need to engage in introspection, in self restraint, in focus, in grounding. And the things that give us those blessings are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Pada, Sevanam, right? All the 9 processes of devotional service. And we did talk about the 9 processes of devotional service last week. We talked about, the stages of bhakti, right? And so this is how we are able to remain strong, flexible, adaptable, gracious, grateful, and present and focused, and in yoga, in connection with that transcendental plane as we know it, which I'll speak from my experience. My relationship to the transcendental plane is simply the blessings of my Gurudev. That is all I know about that, right? And so we start where we are and we take shelter of that. Abhaya charanara, right? Clasping the lotus feet of the spiritual master, right? Or of Sri Krishna, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This destroys all fear. And so, as I shared last week, I told a little bit of my story about a visit to this festival and how it was, not necessarily my scene, but I was there to share mantra, to share kirtan, and to share the music that I've been making as an offering to my Gurudev, because he gave me that instruction to whole world you can sing, whole world you can preach. And so I must follow that directive, even though I've been scared, right? Even though I would rather just be shy and eat prasadam, right? Like I'm going out on a limb and going into the dust, into these festivals, driving for hours, being surrounded by all sorts of people, doing all sorts of things, unloading the car, setting up the canopy, setting up the book table, going on stage, singing the songs, introducing, handing out the invitations, right? All the things, making all that effort as a way of pushing forward, right? People may criticize me. Oh my God, who does she think she is? Oh my God, she's doing this, she's doing that, right? But I know what my instruction is. I know what that focus is, right? Like the eye of the bird, that's where I must stay. That's where my target, that's what my focus is. So all this other stuff is the material energy. And I'm not saying this because anyone said anything or anything has happened, not directed towards anyone, right? But just in general, right? When we move forward, sometimes there's a pushback from the environment, right? Whether it's fatigue or laziness or criticism or whatever, whatever it is, or the environment just creating obstacles. We have a mission, right? We have a purpose. We have a focus, that is to engage in Krishna consciousness, to become practitioners of the devotional services, right? The processes of devotion, of bhakti. And so ultimately, right, to become Krishna conscious. And, as we've heard this really beautiful phrase, one of my favorites, right? Self-improvement through distribution. The more we get out there in the field, the more we distribute this and embody this, the more our capacity to receive this and our capacity to hold this widens. So, just several things, right? Like it goes both ways. Being able to embody that and then being able to practice that, right? And then being able to observe that in others and being able to encourage that in others. Um, and so this process of Trinadapi Sunichena, in order to even be able to engage, requires some sense of practicing between ourselves and each other, right? I remember, again, I've said this before in other classes, Gurudev talking about, what does tolerance mean? Not to be disturbed by other people's minds. Keep your eye on the prize, right? No matter the obstacles, the naysayers, the criticism, the judgment, eye on the prize. Here to be a stand for the practice, for the kirtan, for the distribution. Don't care where I have to go. If I have to go there, right? Saraswati Thakur was like, we're going to take this everywhere, even if we have to serve meat, right? We're going to push forward through those obstacles to attract people to this practice of devotional life, right? Of cleansing the mirror of the mind, this yoga practice, not as is trendy with all the yoga mats and all the yoga clothing, but the pure conception of yoga, the ultimate, rung on the yoga ladder. The ultimate goal of all yoga is bhakti, right? Devotion to the supreme being, Guru Gauranga Gandharvika. So, which is pretty nice. I will say, like, most people are like, no, it's a he, no, it's a she, no, they're they. We can say he, she, and they, right? Because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we have all the pronouns available in our conception. And that is how absolute, right, this conception is, right? Beyond the laws of material existence, beyond the laws of material designation, restrictions, limitations, supramundane. And so being in service to this requires the directives. So being tolerant, not being disturbed by other people's minds, right? When we see what we're doing as a service, and I'm a little bit revisiting the topic because I think it's an important thing to remember and to also hear myself. But when we are taking everything we do as a service, like, for example, our Gurudev, right? How jovial and humble and calm and present and direct and clear, and when needed, forceful and powerful and, right, also intense if he needed to be. And so not being disturbed by other people's minds. So when we see that what we're doing, when we're engaging it to that higher purpose, then we're able to expand outside the I, me, mine. And rather than taking people's stuff personally, we're able to expand into a wider field and recognize this is not my problem, right? This is not my, sometimes, there are people that are envious, right? Or there are people that are whatever the thing is, and they may be projecting stuff, and then we get caught up in the thing, and then we're taking it personal, and then we're retaliating. But when we actually zoom out and realize, oh my God, this isn't actually really my problem. Wait a minute, this is a distraction that's taking up space in my mind. What's my focus? Right, my focus is Harinam Sankirtan, right? My focus is to share this transcendental touchstone with everyone everywhere I go, even if that just means on a japa walk chanting to the trees, right? And so this is our directive, Harinam Sankirtan, Ekakiya Maranahipa. It requires some blessing, some drop of faith, some association, right? We talked about those different stages of bhakti, having the sadhu sangha, so important. Being able to work together, which Trinadapi Sunechena is the formula for how to Harinam Sankirtan, right? Because if we allow ourselves to be distracted by the filth of material existence, how do I say this? Everything that is being cultivated in this world is discharging some sort of element into the environment, right? You're cooking down ghee, there's the evaporation, right? Milk, the steam, everything is somehow discharging something, emanating something. And so by dint of our material existence, what is called false identification with the self, right, is constantly emanating from us, right? Like ego, drama, like mental problems, like that's a byproduct of material existence, unfortunately, right? There's bound to be those kinds of waves and frequencies. Just like we love our cell phones, right? We love the technology, yet there is a negative radiation that is being emitted. And so now there's all these, EMFs, right? These electromagnetic frequency protectors that are helping us to not receive all that radiation. And so material existence has this naturally emanating toxicity, for lack of a better word. It doesn't always have to be negative or positive. It's just the toxins, ama, if you will, if you know about Ayurveda, that's being released. And so there's always going to be some sort of, static frequency in the channel, right? And so we can either focus on that and tune into that and be like, oh, the static frequency, or we can remember, wait a minute, let me tune that, right? Like, so not to be disturbed by other people's minds, right? Tolerance, not my frequency. Okay, frequency coming at me. What's my responsibility in like playing and being engaged with this frequency, doing that self accountability, right? And then being able to create that harmony. And then humility, right? Not to disturb other people's minds. Like when we're on one, right? When you're on one and carrying a wave, maybe you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, or someone was really mean to you and you weren't able to like let go of their wave, and now you're carrying that wave too, right? Sometimes we're the ones that are carrying that negative wave, or emanating it, or putting it into the, spinning the reality with that negative wave. And so, not disturbing the minds of others, right? And being able to um, cure thyself, medicate with the holy name, right? Going and chanting your mantra when you find that you're spinning out or just not having a good time. Go sit down and chant your japa, right? Read a little Bhagavad Gita, read something from one of the books, speak to someone that you can confide in, right? And have little conversation about how to move through this in the spirit of devotional conversation, right? And then giving honor to others, right? Being able to see others' good qualities, their own enthusiasm, being able to see their effort. Like Gurudev would say, like, you have $2, you can give $2. You have $5, you can give $5. And so in the same way, being able to see everybody's $2, $3, $5, and honoring that beautifully, encouraging that, being non-envious, right? Being welcoming, right? Not being party spirited and cliquey, and all those things that can come from maybe, that not giving honor to others. So how can we give honor to others? Obviously, this doesn't mean like give honor to somebody that's being dangerous or physically abusive. We're never condoning that or talking about that. We are not, uh, you know, Uttama uh, adhikaris, right? We're not like the topmost Siddha We cannot see that everything is the will of the Lord yet, right? He's like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, or like Haridas Thakur getting beaten, right? And all the things. He was able to see the Lord, okay, in that case, he's receiving that. But I'm sorry, but I personally am not him. So I cannot see that. And so there, there's obviously some boundaries or restrictions or constraints within how we're able to operate and function in this material world according to our own capacity. And then, Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So that we can chant without that disturbance, chant without that distraction, chant with that from that place of cleanliness, from that place of harmony. Notice how you feel when you're in a bad mood, right? Or when you're having a bad day, or when you're feeling scarcity or pain, right? Oh, right? Different story. Notice how you feel when you're feeling good and positive and happy, right? Different vibration. There's a sense of gratitude and giving and abundance. And so our practicing life is how we maintain that space, right? How we are able to become flexible, like the wave, like the blade of grass, right? And we're able to ride that wave. Dandavat, I see Jayaram Prabhu and Jagamohan. Dandavat for nams, everybody. Hare Krishna, here live from the Soquel Seva Ashram. And so that's something I wanted to speak about on our way to this thing that Gurudev said to me once, right? Why you are pushing backwards. You must push forward, right? And so I'm giving, right, some like, hey, how do we actually do that? How do we push forward when the going gets tough or things get intense? And this goes back to this little story that I shared, last week about my experience at this festival where I had received the opportunity to get on the main stage, right, to sing some of the songs that I was going to offer the next day. But people had no idea what I was offering and what I was going to do. So they didn't quite know how to place me. And I wanted to be on the main stage so that everybody could hear and come and show up for it. And so I got this opportunity to share those two songs on a set in an evening where everybody was present. And I was really excited. And it came in such a blessed way. And has now turned into a really awesome collaboration with this wonderful woman who is like, wow, I loved your music so much and how you speak of your guru. I would like to know more about bhakti and your guru. Please tell me more, right? This is right, even though I'm out there sharing music and going to these festivals, this is exactly what I'm living for, right? Is these opportunities to share. But for a moment, I wanted to run away, right? I almost pushed backwards and became victim of the heavy material environment. I was getting kind of blocked, right? They were like, no, the next fire dancer is going. You're not going next. And she kept saying, you're next. And they were saying, you can't go. And I was like, ah, right? And then when I was going to go, there was a technical difficulty with my music and it couldn't be played. And I was like, oh my God. And then someone was going to film me and then they had to leave. And I was like, who's going to film this? I want to capture this, right? There were so many obstacles happening at the same time. I didn't know what was going to happen. And then my phone, we tried that to connect with the music. And then I finally got on the stage and the audio wasn't working and everybody was looking at me, right? And there was a moment where, like, before I even got on the stage, where I was like, you know what? Like, this is too, maybe I'm not supposed to be in this environment. Maybe I need to just go home. And I literally looked at my booth thinking, can I pack this in a couple hours and drive back to Santa Cruz? It's a 3-hour journey. It's like 12 midnight. And I literally considered leaving, right? How often do you consider leaving, your service or whatever, the temple or, some situation, right? You want to run away. And as I was considering that, and I saw myself feeling and looking so upset, suddenly this inspiration came. And it was like, why you are pushing backwards. Gurudev's own words that he said to me when we were in Thailand, you must push forward. And I just, oh my God, that's right. And I remembered his words. And it was such a great moment. And then I realized that I was wanting to quit and that I had come all the way here to do this. And I was literally at the stage about to go on and I was going to run away. I was like, no, 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 no. And then I laughed and realized how the material energy was affecting me. Like, you can't do this. You're not going to go. You're not good enough. You're just a fraud. You don't belong here. It's not your turn, right? And then I remembered, right, like Divya Shakti and Bimala and my mom, the three great Sankirtaniyas of our mission here that I have felt the most connection and association with and have received the most nurturing from and the most kindness from. These three beautiful ladies who, in my opinion, have been so incredibly selfless, right? And even Sureshwari Didi, who has been so selfless, right? Like, doesn't give up. And I remembered them in their mood and how they do it all for anything, for Krishna, right? They go to any extent for Krishna. I mean, from Divya like sneaking into festivals with her Shambhu hanging on and being like, Shambhu is protecting us. And I'm like, remember by the time we walk through the gate, she has VIP passes up to her elbow. I'm like, if these ladies can do this, I sure as hell can get on the stage and sing my song. And like this extreme force field of energy. And I just surrendered and I accepted, wow, this is just being how it is, but I'm here to do what I'm here. Right. This isn't about me. This is about my service to my Gurudev. And I drove for 3 hours and packed my car and have been camping and living and sleeping in the car and all the dust and all the things to miss this. I was like, mm-mm. And then right in that moment, the person came back and was like, I can film you. I just had to step away. Someone tapped me on the shoulder and was like, go, it's your turn. And I was like, oh, and I ran on the stage and then the sound wouldn't work. And I was like, hello, hi, everyone. And then they tried again and the sound wouldn't work. I had like 3 starts, and I mentioned a little bit of this last week, but I'm revisiting some of these themes and going in a little bit further. And I ended up singing my songs, right? And as a result of that, not only did I like it was supremely victorious. Let's just say that much. As a result of that, I'm going to another festival um, in about 2 weeks to sing my songs and chant in front of 10,000 people with that same DJ who let me sing on her set, right? That moment did so many things, right? And so that you must push forward. Why you are pushing backwards. Gurudev said that to my face and he got really close. And then he said, you want me to fight with you? Huh? And I was kind of like, yeah, actually I do, but the answer is supposed to be no, right? Like, I no. Yeah. And so I realized this one thing he said to me that one time has lived. He said that to me maybe when I was like 20, 21. I'm now 35. It's still with me. I'm still realizing it. I'm still receiving the benefits. I'm still receiving encouragement and enthusiasm and strength from it. And so the words of our gurus, we must spend some time internalizing them. I remember as a little girl, I would read the Bhagavad Gita and read it so slowly. I just wanted to make sure that I understood every single word. And then I'd read the translation and then go back. I would take forever to read just like one verse. And so that's fair because there's a lot of potency packed in Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, right? In the words that are coming from the lotus mouths of our guru, and we must desire Chittate Koriya Aikya, must not desire anything else other than the words that are coming from the lotus mouths of our Guru Varga. So he said, you must sing the whole world you can sing. And if I were to push backwards, no, me, I can't sing. I don't know anything. Who am I? They're judging me. They're criticizing me. They want to make fun of me. They think I'm some stupid girl who thinks she's an artist. Like all those external ways that people might be judging. Do not be disturbed by their minds. Do not let my own mind be disturbed by their minds. I focus on the eye of the bird. What is the eye of the bird in this case? Is my Gurudev's words. Become one with the words that are coming from the lotus mouth. It got that personal instruction. And if you didn't get to meet Gurudev and didn't get some personal instruction and spending these conversations with him, and I often was like, no, he just says that to everyone, right? And Madhusudan Maharaj, then Mahananda was like, no, he does not just say these things to everyone. Because I thought he was just being nice to me. Like, no, right? Because I was being conditioned to, you're not allowed to see Gurudev. You're not allowed to be with him. You're not, like all those kinds of things. Because she's a nobody. She can't come in. She must come in with the villagers. I remember one of the servants like telling all the bodyguards, like, she must come in only with the villagers, not VIP. And then Gurudev was mad at me because I wasn't going to see him. Where is Vaidehi? Why she's not coming to see me? And like, I wouldn't be let in the door is why I'm not coming to. And I remember one time I like was so mad. I just came into his room and they were all standing there looking at me like, how did she get in here? How dare she get in here? And he was like, looking at me and he's like, why you are not coming to see me? And I was like looking at the people like, And obviously, most of those devotees were doing their service and maybe they weren't aware. I don't know, whatever the story is. I'm not here to make excuses for them. What happened and it was not nice. Sorry. And so, like, I looked at him and I looked at them and I was like, how am I supposed to answer this question? And then I said to him, because coming to see you would mean not practicing humility, tolerance, and respect. Because I kept being told if I misbehaved, I'd be sent to Navadweep, right? Like, I wanted to be near him. And I kept getting threatened that way, right? And, denied access to my Gurudev and all this kinds of stuff. And so I was just like really scared and just really wanted to be with my freaking Gurudev. Like, I just really wanted to be with my Gurudev as a teenager. Like, that's all I wanted. Am I that bad as a teenager? Like, I didn't want to be out there like drinking and smoking and doing all these things. I wanted to be with my Gurudev. I don't know what to tell you. And then I said that because, I felt like in order to see him, I had to kind of fight or like be aggressive or be like, what? And I had that. Like, this whole time, a lion was being prodded, in my opinion. Y'all ain't seen nothing, right? And so, like, I just didn't want to create a disturbance. So I tolerated that and like I pushed backwards. And then when I said that, when I said, because coming to see you would mean not practicing humility, tolerance, and respect, and he looked at me and he leaned forward and he yelled, like roared like a lion, like a thunder, like it, how, Gurudev literally like was like thunder. And he was like, wrong thinking. And I was like the lion's mouth and like all the wind. I was like, ah. And then I got this like energy and encouragement and I shot up and I went, then I must fight. And he was like, and he leaned back. And I was just like, okay, cool. Like, it was just a moment, right? And then a couple years later in Thailand, the same thing was happening. I wasn't being allowed to see him. And I remember he was like, you are coming to such and such location. And I was like, no, I'm being told that I cannot go. And he's like, you are coming to such and such location. Like, this is not a question, girl. This is a command. And then they, people there witnessed that and I was like, yes, Gurudev, I am coming because you are telling me to come. Okay, I follow, right? Like, and it was on that trip that he said to me, why you are pushing backwards, you must push forward. And so this is, we're at that place. This is the delivery. This is what I wanted to say to you, right? If Gurudev said it to me, it must apply as relevant to those of you that are inspired to share Krishna consciousness, right? Those of you that are inspired to receive association, right? Whatever obstacles come your way, they are distractions, right? And there is always a way, like Divya Shakti getting into the festivals like magic. She wasn't coming in fighting, right? And she wasn't coming in all like meek and humble when they told her no. She's like, yeah, okay, cool, but let me try again. Oh, okay, let me try over here. Let me try over there. And then boom, 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 she's in. VIP wristbands up to her elbows. I have witnessed this so many times with Divya Shakti. And so that right there is the mood, right? That is why her name is Divya Shakti, right? And that kind of Sankirtan spirit, we need to bring that back into our generation. Where y'all at? Come out, right? I need you. I need Mridanga players. I need singers. I need kartal players from our mat to come and perform with me on these stages and sing with me and chant with me and hold a book table down. So I'm calling you in, that Sankirtan energy and spirit and the mood of pushing forward that Gurudev personally instilled in me, that I witness in Divya Shakti Kalindi Bimala, right? And so many others. So important to bring that in, but it doesn't come from some fake enthusiastic Hariba imitation. I mean, obviously, Agyata and Gyata Sukriti, like we're gonna get that, right? By chanting, whether we're chanting in mock mode or whether we're chanting without knowing. Yes, some enthusiasm is there, but How do we cultivate that deep connection and enthusiasm? Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chita Te Koriya Aikya, by becoming one with the words that come from the lotus mouths of our spiritual masters and guardians. And from what I've observed so far, it seems like they're saying Harinam Sankirtan, right? So, how do we push forward and not backwards? By engaging in our sadhana, in our practice, in association, not engaging in gossip and drama and all this stuff, right? But by being able to internalize the words, internalize our present experience. We're not spiritually bypassing and abandoning our experiences on this body. We want to wholesale into Atmani Vedanam, full self surrender. It means everything. If you got good looks, bring them in. You got money, bring them in. If you got this, bring it in. Doesn't matter how materialistic or foolish or whatever. You got a big ego and can talk things up, bring it in. Come talk at the book table, right? Like, bring it in. So, whoever, wherever you are, all your qualities, bring them in, and Atmani Vedanam, full self surrender. Guru Mukha Padma Vage, make it one with your consciousness, eye on the prize. The distractions, right? They are distractions. Or if they want to distract you and you can find a way to weave them into some transformation and realization and growth, right? Because sometimes the environment is also coming to check us. For example, I had my very first two festival performances, right? I've danced on stages before and I've taught workshops at festivals before. That's not new to me. I've been doing that since like 2016. And then 2017 is when I really started touring with my own vision. But I've never performed my own music on a festival stage, right? As my own full experience, right? And so I was booked for my first two festival performances. And I was so excited and also didn't feel ready, but felt more ready than I was. And I was a little like, I'm ready, but I'm not ready, but I'm going to go, but da da da, right? And I kind of like this, and then I got COVID. And 1 week before the festivals, right? So I didn't get COVID this entire time, but I got COVID just 1 week before the festival and I had to cancel them. And I was laying there pretty devastated, kind of like, like I want to blame something. But then I began to reflect and experience all sorts of momentum, like on my phone, messaging and talking about and reaching out to people about festivals. I was like, if I'm missing these two, no, I'm going to get into all the other ones, right? And I spent all this energy creating all these connections and praying and realizing and seeing all these things and realizing what was required from me to feel ready was this life or death kind of commitment. What was required from me was this is my only purpose kind of commitment. If I were to die, right? So, what are we doing with our energy? Right? It isn't until we get tried that we realize how much time we've been wasting, how long we've been procrastinating, how many excuses we make every single day to not be engaged in Harinam Sankirtan, etc., etc., etc. And so from that time of being sick came so much internal revelation and foundation building commitment and integrity to what I was going to be doing, right? And now I've stepped into it and I'm in it. I'm going to a festival this coming weekend. I'm going to another one the following weekend. And then I have a small break. Then I have my music release party. And then I have other festivals. And so, and more, right, are coming. So that devotees don't have to sneak to festivals anymore, right? And we can all just come in as a team and be a part of this experience. So the invitation is here, calling in devotees for that. And so, yeah, I mean, why you are pushing backwards, you must push forward, right? This is the main message. And then how we do this, Trinadapi Nichena Shravanam Kirtanam, right? 9 processes of devotional service, staying focused, staying on track. And so, these 5 p.m. Monday slots are opportunities for me to share with you my experience as an aspiring servitor. I cannot say that I'm really a servitor. I'm an aspiring servitor. And to share with you what I remember from Gurudev's teachings and the experiences that I've had as a result of being born and raised in this beautiful family with the most amazing mom in the world, really. And so, yeah, super, super blessed opportunity that we have in this life to be engaged in this practice, to have a panacea, to have a medicine, to have a place to be, right? A way to go, right? To have some sort of, it's like if you're an agent and you're dropped in some no man's land, right? You start to identify, okay, this homie's on my team, this homie's the enemy. And so, like, us devotees, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and also, ISKCON, we're a team, we're friends. So the more we can just stop fighting with each other and being mean and all the things, and the more we can really do our best to practice, to honor, to listen, to respect, to self-check, right? And to self-analyze. And this isn't in a self-flagellous, like beating, abusive. This is with love and affection and conscious awareness and integrity, right? And kindness and taking care of our bodies, taking care of our health, right? Balancing our material and our spiritual existence, right? Not spiritually bypassing our material existence. With full wholesale engagement. And so that's something about what I wanted to share with you all this evening. And it's just a good reminder. And we must not push backwards. We must push forward, right? Keep raising your hand. Keep showing up. Keep asking for that thing, right? Don't take no for an answer. Knock, knock, knock on the other door. Knock, knock, knock again, right? I remember when I was studying at the university and getting my degree, because Gurudev instructed me to do that, and I didn't want to, but I did it. I wanted to just be with him in India since I was 12. I was like, why am I being sent back to America to learn about the machinations of material existence? How, like, the wheels turn? Like, why? I really could care less. When Gurudev is here, this is the center of the universe. Why would I want to go there? Right? I remember thinking that when I was 12, and I've shared that story before. And so, finishing my degree, and 2 things. One thing is, I remember I was like, well, finally I just accepted. I was like, okay, well, if this is my instruction from him, then I'm going to make it be the best thing possible. If it weren't for me, I would not be interested in getting straight A's, even though I've always been a good student. But, like, because it was a service to him, I was like, I must get a straight A every time, right? And I maintained that throughout my whole entire college education, 4.0 GPA, right? So just, what we do have as our service, doing that the best that we can. If it's my service to be in offering and service to sharing the holy name and attracting, right? He said, attracting others to Krishna consciousness, like he said to me before, then I'm going to do that the best that I can in the way that I know. And like he said to me, keep your vision, right? So we all have some thing that we're good at, some vision, something that excites us. We don't have to shun that or hide that. We can offer that in service, right? And engage that. Sometimes I thought, oftentimes I thought, oh, in order to be Krishna conscious, I have to, like, be in saffron, or I have to, like, be poor or wear raggedy clothes, or, like, I have to look a certain way, or, like, behave a certain way. And then I was like, that's actually totally not my vibe, though. And so, instead of, like, shaming myself and shunning myself, and I'm still in the process of just accepting who I am and just doing my best to fully engage that, flaws and all, because I have no other choice, you know? And if anyone wants to like shame other people for being how they are, then like you're not focusing on what you're supposed to be doing, because that's not, last time that I checked, that wasn't really our what we're supposed to be focusing on, right? So all we can really do is honor the good qualities that we see in others, even though there may be, buried in other qualities. But look to those good qualities and focus on them and fan them and fuel them and relate to those, right? And not take those other things as personal or our responsibility or our weight or burden, right? Because our weight or burden that we must carry, which it's not, is to really evolve our own consciousness and mind and our own etiquette as aspiring devotees. And we're not perfect, but shaming and judging and all that stuff isn't, or yelling and all this kind of stuff isn't going to help anyone, right? But rather it's going, if we're kind and can help teach, right? Like you don't yell at a preschooler, right? You're lovingly shared. Don't take the clay and rub it all over the sand or like in someone's face. Here you go. Like we're kind, right? We're kind. And so that same kind of, how can we be more kind and practice and be in that space of harmony? Because we're a team. We're Gurudev's Harinam Sankirtan army. And so we have to gather the troops and march and chant in happiness and together in support of each other. Kali Yuga is encroaching upon us from all directions very heavily and intensely. It's getting closer and closer and closer. And so the way we can repel that encroaching is by the bombastic, expanding, brilliant brightness slash blasting, right, of the holy name of Krishna from our hearts together in unison. And Matalahari Jana Kirtana Range Pujala Ragapata Gouda Bhavange Eruparoti Brahma Shambhu Agochara, right? Gouda Bhakta Kripa Patra Matra Siddhisar. So it's like all of these grand personalities are coming to have a glimpse of the worship of Gauranga Mahaprabhu here in this plane, and demigods are coming to take birth to get a glimpse of this and receive some of this medicine. And we worship that devotional plane, right, and engage through the practice of Harinam Sankirtan and placing their feet above our heads, right? So all we can do is continue to chant the glories of anything and everything that is chintamani, right? Transcendental in our field, and be supportive and kind and not push backwards, push forward. So it's also a message to self. And I hope that you've found it inspiring. We will close, or I will now just wrap up for today, but I will see you again next week. I think I should be here from the festival. So we will be live at 5 p.m. In the case that for some reason it doesn't happen as a result of the travels, I will put up a post to let you know. But please continue tuning in Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And please continue tuning in to our Seva Ashram Facebook page daily to watch the morning classes and the evening classes by our different devotees and community members. And a great way to stay inspired. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. And I cannot wait to share about the experiences and all of that, and the remembrance of our Gurudev and his instructions. Jai Jai Sapadikara Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Kushum Ashram Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Nidhiha Tilak Maharaj Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Actually, Saparshad Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Sri Rupa Nuaguru Varga Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabhar Sri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Shuddha Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Sri Nishringhadev Ki Jai, Sri Ganga Jamuna Ji Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai, Sri Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Sri Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. All glories to all the assembled devotees Ki Jai. Sri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Nitai Gaud Premanande, Hari 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 Bol. All right, bye for now. Please feel free to leave comments below this video if you have any questions or feedback. Thank you all so much for watching. Dandavats to everyone who's joined afterwards. Looking forward to seeing you all again next week. And yeah, any comments, questions, feedback, write in the comment section, or you're welcome to send a message to the Seva Ashram Facebook page. If you have a message for me, please say message for Vaidehi so that I know that it's for me as well. And I'll look. I forgot to look last week after I said this, but I'll look again this week. And yeah, if you have any topic suggestions or anything like that, feel free to ask those questions and make them via private message here on the Seva Ashram Facebook page. Again, just note to Vaidehi, and I will follow up with you. All right, Dandavat Pranams. See you all for Govinda Mela, for those of you that are coming. If not, see you online. And bye for now. Haribol. Srila Bhakti Pavan Janardhan Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Rakat Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Sri Rupa Nuaguru Varga Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Saparshad Sri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai, Saparshad Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai, Shuddha Bhakti Vigna Vinashaya Sri Nishringhadev Ki Jai, Bhakta Prabhar Sri Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai, Sri Baladev Subhadra Jagannath Ju Ki Jai, Vrindavan Purushottam Dham Ki Jai, Sri Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Sri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Sri Ganga Jamuna Ji Ki Jai, Sri Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai.